New at 11 tonight, heart-stopping video, and it is difficult to watch. It shows the moment right after a Tacoma police officer appears to have run over at least one person with their cruiser and possibly hit several others while trying to clear people from an intersection.
There is no word on their condition just yet, but we are hearing from witnesses. We know a large crowd of people and vehicles were blocking the intersection at 9th Street and Pacific Avenue in Tacoma, where this investigation is now centered. KOMO's Cole Miller is there, and Cole, those witnesses clearly shaken tonight.
Michelle, they tell me they are horrified with what they saw. One man calling it demonic, like something out of a Hollywood film. And tonight we know that the Pierce County Force Investigation Team is handling this investigation. Right now, still a lot of officers down here at this scene. A large chunk of Pacific Avenue remains closed as they look over what happened. And within the last hour, we have learned that the man who was run over did not die. But beyond that, we don't know anything more about what kind of shape he's in. A Saturday night sideshow in downtown Tacoma. Drivers taking turns spinning donuts, the smoke filling that intersection. And when a police officer shows up, oh my God, that crowd moving in and the cop backing up.
People start going to the cop cars, they're yelling at him.
Then flooring the SUV, slamming into that group, one man getting run over.
It was literally so crazy. He had tire marks all over his body, belly out. His shoes were off. It was like something out of a movie.
Corey Lee was driving by when he saw all of this happen.
It looked like something out of a zombie movie, honestly. If you see a zombie movie and you imagine you're trying to get away from a bunch of zombies, you run them over.
From a nearby parking garage, those tire marks in the street. A massive police response soon followed. This cruiser with its back window smashed. It's unclear if that was the one being driven when all of this went down.
Plowed right through them, full force.
Junior Ruiz was heading back home when he stumbled upon it, watching it play out.
He hit a pretty big, I want to say a group of 20 people.
In a release, Tacoma police say that officer was fearing for his safety, and while trying to extricate himself from an unsafe position, he drove forward and then called for medical aid. The interim chief saying, quote, "I am deeply concerned that our department is experiencing another use of deadly force incident. I send my thoughts to anyone injured."
And one of the most shocking moments of this protest happened when demonstrators lit a number of large trash cans on fire right in the middle of this Tacoma roadway, proceeded protesting up the hill. I'm told the fire department was called, but a number of businesses had to come out with fire extinguishers to put that fire out. At Tacoma's Frost Park, up to 200 people gathering in response to a Tacoma police officer who you can see here slamming into a crowd of people after a street racing incident.
We see a lot of the crowd move toward the police officer. We see him back up a few feet, and then it doesn't look like there's any other way for him to go, so he just drives straight forward and quickly.
This all started Saturday night when a group of more than 100 people blocked the street while drivers turned donuts for more than 15 minutes. Tacoma police say officers were trying to clear the intersection when a police SUV was surrounded by a crowd, hitting the vehicle and windows. Police say the officer was fearing for his safety and was trying to extricate himself from an unsafe position. After driving forward, he called for medical aid. Tacoma Mayor Victoria Woodard.
It's heartbreaking for me as the person who leads this city. And I know I not only bear how it affects me, but I think deeply about how it affects everyone who lives here.
Tonight, demonstrators, many who came from outside Tacoma to protest, left a destructive mark.
My concern is that distracts from the real issue of a real investigation, real police accountability, finding out what really happened.
The Pierce County Force Investigation Team will be conducting an independent investigation into how and why this dangerous situation all played out.
I believe that our police chief and our city manager will hold everyone involved accountable.
And the patrol officer involved in this incident has been with the department for nearly 30 years this morning. He's on routine paid leave. In Tacoma, I'm Kara Kostinich, KOMO News.
Yeah, guys, we knew it was going to be here. We knew it would spread fast, but doctors are saying if we don't redouble our efforts, moving to phase 2 could potentially be a pipe dream because of this new variant.
Snohomish County is no longer the only place in Washington with that COVID-19 variant that was originally discovered in the United Kingdom.
We received word from our state partners late yesterday that we have the first case of a COVID-19 variant identified in Pierce County.
That B117 variant is now sandwiching King County in both Snohomish and Pierce County. A faster spreading form of the virus, doctors say these discoveries could be the beginning of a frightening future.
This is no time to relax or slack off.
Dr. Jeff Duchin with Public Health Seattle and King County says he and other doctors hope this won't affect the Puget Sound region's chances of moving to the next phase of the governor's Healthy Washington plan.
The new variant will make it harder. And I can't predict whether we'll be successful or not. I hope we will be.
It's not a time for panic, but it is a time to be alert and really be watching how predominant this strain becomes in Washington state.
State epidemiologist for communicable diseases, Dr. Scott Lindquist, says we can determine that in part through genotyping, which looks into the genetic construction of a specific sequence of DNA. They'll use this to see how many positive COVID tests have this variant, and we'll have that fully up and running in a couple weeks' time. But knowing that Pierce County is now seeing this variant too, it'll be a matter of time before we see more sprout up throughout the state.
Everyone needs to double down on their efforts.
Yeah, Steve, Michelle, we have learned that there are 2 positive confirmed cases of that UK variant that have been found here. They were detected in Snohomish County. The state says it was only a matter of time until we saw that here. And the big takeaway from that call was this. In the coming weeks, it is highly likely that this will become the most dominant strain in the U.S., as you both mentioned. That is because it is more contagious and spreads easier. That call with the Department of Health wrapped up about a half hour ago. They say they've been planning on this for weeks, that it would show up, knowing it would be here. The 2 cases here were discovered after more than 1,000 samples were screened over the last month using what they call genome sequencing. And while it is not believed to be prevalent here just yet, more cases likely do exist. The CDC continues to study it, and while there are no reports that it can be deadlier and cause a more severe illness, the agency says there is no conclusive evidence that it has found to support those claims at this time. Health officials here stress the vaccines we currently have available should combat it, and that we must continue to wear masks and practice social distancing.
It's not a time for panic, but it is a time to be alert and really be watching how predominant this strain becomes in Washington state.
So some background on this strain. It is called B117. It was first found in the UK back in September of last year. Here in the U.S., it was Colorado that saw the first case. That was just last month. And of course, today, it's announced that it has reached Washington state. So moving forward, the state says it will continue to screen and sequence and what they call surveillance, looking for new cases of this strain. The DOH will also be monitoring to see how common it becomes in the coming weeks and months. Live tonight in Seattle, Cole Miller, KOMO News.
Hey, everybody, I'm Eric Johnson from KOMO News. Thanks for checking out the KOMO YouTube channel. You can see more of our videos right here by clicking on the video links for more news from the Seattle area and all of Western Washington. And don't forget to click the subscribe button below so you don't miss our YouTube updates.